Good morning, everyone. Uh, I trust that you all are doing good and in good health and staying safe. So, in this presentation, I'll be discussing CCDs used in astronomy. So, I'll briefly describe the history of the CCDs, how it was adopted for astronomy, some basic functions and operations of the CCD. So, CCD was invented in 1969 by Boyle and Smith at Bell Telephone Laboratories, and they published this invention in 1970. So, initially, it was developed as a memory device to mitigate the problems of diode-based memory arrays, and later, after the invention, people saw that it can be adopted for, it has a potential application for imaging, and CCD imagers were eventually developed. So Boyle and Schmidt developed the CCD imager in 1969, which had this kind of schematic, the clocking scheme required for reading the CCD. Even now, the modern day CCD uses the same scheme. At the same time, during the early 70s, NASA was planning the HST mission. So they were looking for suitable detectors for their space mission. And that time, there were only two options. One was the photographic film and the tube technology. The photographic film was large. It had a good spectral range, but it suffered from high energy radiation damage. So if this was sent in space, then periodically the films had to be retrieved by the astronauts. So this was not a viable option. Whereas in case of tube, uh, the the tubes used to degrade over time, and the lifespan of HST was 15 years as planned that time. So it suffered with photometric accuracies due to this degradation. So they were interested in CCD, which was invented by Boyle and Smith, because it was 100 times sensitive compared to the film. It has various advantages, like it had excellent linearity compared to both film and tube. It was much better than the tube. In terms of sensitivity, it had large dynamic range. That is the contrast between the faintest star detected and the brightest star was very large, and it had a uniform response across the imaging plane. And there were various advantages, like it was stable, it was very small, rugged, it consumed less power, and it can be easily digitized. So they met with this team at the Bell Labs in 1972, and they focused on mitigating some problems. There were three major problems with the CCD at that time. The noise, the thermal noise was very high, and the charge transfer efficiency, which I will explaining later, it was very low. So the array size could not be larger than 100 into 100 pixels, and it also suffered with low sensitivity at UV. So nowadays, the CCD, which are used in astronomy, has a very good quantum efficiency. So this slide just compares the performance of CCD with respect to the tube and the photographic plate. This is a logarithmic scale. The photographic plate has a quantum efficiency of 3 or 4%, whereas the tube technology had some 30%, whereas the CCDs are quite efficient. They are 80 to 90% at some wavelengths. And CCDs have a very good spectral range also compared to both. So when NASA was exploring detectors for the HST mission, JPL, Jet Propulsion Lab, was also interested in CCDs because they were having some planetary imaging missions. So they involved three companies, Radio Corporation of America, Fairchild, and Texas Instruments, for mitigating the three problems in the CCD so that it is suitable for astronomy and space applications. So that time Fairchild in 1974 developed a CCD detector which was suitable for astronomy. It had good charge transfer efficiency. The readout noise, the noise generated by the electronics in CCD was less, and but the main problem was the quantum efficiency, because they used an architecture which was having less active area on the chip, interline architecture. So this is the picture of the 100 into 100 CCD that the Fairchild company developed, and this is the image of a moon crater taken by it that time. RCA developed a large format frame transfer, but it was suitable for commercial application. So both RCA and Fairchild later focused on commercial TV application. So JPL and under the NASA contract, they teamed up with the Texas Instrument for developing scientific detectors. So Texas Instruments, they developed a small format 100 into 160 backside illuminated CCD detector. It had a buried channel, so it was this. I'll tell you what this is. It was suitable for astronomy, and it was operated by JPL in 1975. But it had an issue. They couldn't build a larger format detector, because the gates which they used on CCD for biasing for clocking and biasing the CCD, they were made of aluminium, and it was creating a shorting in the detectors. So they proposed to try polysilicon technology, which was originally used by Fairchild and RCA, and they were successful in doing so, and they could develop a larger format CCD detector, uh, uh, 400 into 400 0.16 megapixel camera, and they announced development of larger detectors also. So JPL wanted to promote this CCD in astronomy, because the ground-based astronomers were not very aware of the CCD development. So they wanted to generate interest and get a backing from the scientific community. So they built a traveling camera, that's what they called, using this 400 into 400 CCD chip, and they circulated it to different observatories worldwide. And each time this camera was used on a telescope, there was a new discovery. So the scientists were very excited with the CCD, and it became the demand of CCD amongst the ground-based astronomers. It became very intense. So this was the main driving force for further development of the CCDs. So this is these are the images taken by 154 centimeter telescope at that time during late 70s at Mount Lemmon. So the top image is image of Saturn taken at 830 nanometer, and the bottom one is 890 nanometer. So this shows the good response at near IR, and the scientists, the astronomers found that they got a dark patch when they imaged at 890 nanometer, which indicated that there is an abundance of methane, and it was absorbing this particular line. So it became a big hit in the ground-based astronomy, and once the credentials and capabilities of CCD was proven, NASA announced the opportunity to develop large format detector for space application for their Hubble Space Telescope imager. So Caltech they did a technology demonstration. They developed a wide field imager using 4 detectors. They called it four shooter, and they used it with 5-meter Hale telescope. And this is the Crab Nebula image taken by the 4 detectors which were stitched together. So later on, this concept was materialized, and they used 8 such detectors finally with the HST, which flew along with the telescope, space telescope. So this is the image of Saturn taken by Hubble Space Telescope in early 90s using the array of 8 cameras called the Wide Field Imager. This is and this is one of the images taken by the planetary mission by JPL for the Jupiter planetary mission. They used one single 800 by 800 pixel camera to image this asteroid. So within 2 decades, the CCD development rapidly progressed, and it was applied for the space missions also. So this is how the CCD detector looks like. It's a sketch of the primary components of the CCD detector. It consists of a two-dimensional array of metal oxide semiconductor capacitors. So it had an active region on the top where the photoelectric effect takes place. The incident photons strike the active region and the electrons are generated, and they are biased to create a depletion region where the charges are accumulated, they are stored, and it's a serial readout device. So the CCD can be read out from one corner. So the pixels or the charge packets have to be shifted serially one by one out of the amplifier. So the process is like this. So the rows and columns, the pixels are in the form of rows and columns. Each row is shifted at once to the horizontal readout register, and from this register, one by one each pixel is read out. So for a 100 by 100 array, typically, so there will be 100 row transfers and there will be 100 into 100 serial transfers for readout. So this could be understood by bucket brigade analogy. It was devised by Christian and Luke just to understand simply the CCD operation. So they depicted the CCD as the pixels as set of buckets. There are 9 buckets here arranged in 3 by 3 fashion. So they are collecting the raindrops, and the raindrops are like photons, and the water collected in the buckets are like the electrons generated by photoelectric effect. Once the buckets are full, we would like it to be transferred to this storage bin. So to transfer that, the 3 conveyors are moved in parallel. So the 3 buckets are dumped into the serial conveyor bucket, and the parallel conveyor stops. Then the serial conveyor one by one shifts the bucket water into the storage bin. So there will be 3 parallel transfers, and there will be 3 into 3 9 serial transfers. So these are the basic functions of CCD: a generation of charge using photoelectric effect. It is associated with charge generation efficiency and is defined as quantum efficiency of the CCD. So it's nothing but the fraction of photons that generate electron hole pair. And the second function is the charge collection. So the charge has to be collected using the large area of chip and stored into the pixels. And there is a charge transfer process where the pixels are shifted out, and it is associated with the charge transfer efficiency. So the CCDs need to have a large efficiency. Nowadays the CCDs have 99.99999% efficiency. So in a 16 by 16 pixel camera, the last pixel will suffer about 1.6 electrons that will be lost due to charge transfer. So it's a very good figure. There is one more function, charge measurement, where the pixels are shifted out on a output capacitor, and it is designed so that you get good voltage which can be detectable, which is detectable in presence of noise. So this is associated with charge measurement efficiency. To keep the noise less, the dark noise or the thermal noise less, CCD is cooled typically beyond minus 90 degrees Celsius. And it's so well designed that there is no noise during parallel or serial shifts. Only when it is read out at the readout amplifier, there is some addition of 2 electron noise per pixel. So CCDs are developed using silicon for optical and X-ray region. So silicon requires a energy of 1.14 electron volt, which corresponds to a lambda of 1.086 micron. So this is the limiting lambda. Beyond this, there is no photoelectric effect. So the CCD is operated below this wavelength, and optical as well as the soft X-ray region. So it is sensitive. So it is sensitive in this energy band, 1.14 electron volt to 10 kilo electron volt. So beyond this, generally germanium is used. So this is a typical construction of CCD detector, where there is a p-type substrate, which it is epitaxially grown, and there will be a silicon dioxide insulator on which the gate electrode is grown. So gate is made of the polysilicon, which has conductivity equivalent to aluminium. So this is the very basic kind of CCD detector. It's a surface channel CCD detector where there is a P plus substrate, and there is a active P region on which there is a silicon dioxide insulator. So the gate is used for creating the depletion region. Gate is positively biased so that the holes are repelled from the P region and a depletion region is formed. So this is how it is done. So the gate is positively biased. Vg is the gate voltage. So a potential well is developed close to the surface, and it drops along the substrate of the CCD. This was the initially developed CCD, which is surface channel CCD, but this suffers from a problem. At the surface, the electrons are trapped by the impurities and SiO2 layer. So to avoid this, people use this kind of architecture, which is called buried channel CCD, where the potential well is slightly shifted away from the surface. So here, instead of P, N region is used as the active region and P is used as the substrate. So this is a simple 3D representation of how the CCD pixel looks like. Each pixel has 3 gates. So one of the gates create the depletion region where the photoelectric effect generates the electrons and it is stored, and the other 2 gates, which are called all 3 are called clocking gates. So the other 2 are used for generating the potential barrier for while generating the electrons, so that the electrons don't spill over to the adjacent pixel. And once the exposure is over, charges are collected, they are moved serially by clocking these gates one by one. So whichever gate has the positive potential, that holds the electrons. So for clocking it out, the positive potential is alternated between these 3 clocks. So that is shown in the figure on the right side, where initially the charges are held here at the first gate, and once the exposure is done, so these two gates are clocked positive so that the charges are held between these two gates. Then the first gate is lowered to 0 so that now the charges are held with the middle gate. Likewise, the process moves on and the pixels are moved outside the CCD. So, in the initial figure, the substrate which was shown, it had a large thickness of about 250 or to 500 microns. So, and the active region was somewhere here on the top where the photoelectric effect takes place. Here the problem is the incident photons has to pass through the gate and the thickness of this the layers to reach the active region. So this reduces the quantum efficiency and of the CCD. So in astronomy, because the sensitivity is desired, so back illuminated CCD are used where the substrate is thinned out to 10 micron so that it is transparent to the incident photons. So this kind of back illuminated CCD is mostly used for the scientific imaging in CCD. So typically this is how the detector looks like, CCD detector which is used for astronomy. It is developed by E2V and it has 4000 into 4000 pixels. It's a 16 megapixel scientific grade CCD detector. And this is the arrangement of clocks which are used with the pixels for shifting the pixels parallel row by row and serial transfer pixel by pixel to the output amplifier. So typically the CCDs used in astronomy, they require some kind of calibration. So whenever an image is taken, it's called a raw image, and that image has to be reduced so as to reduce all the artifacts of the CCD so that it can be used for astronomy. So to remove the artifacts, bias frame is taken. So bias is nothing but a frame taken with the shutter closed with light cut off at 0 exposure. So it basically detects the offset in the CCD, and sometimes also dark frame is taken. Dark is the frame taken which has the same exposure time as the actual raw image with the shutter closed. So it basically captures the dark electrons generated by the dark current. So for long exposure like 40-45 minutes exposure, significant amount of electrons are generated. So they are to be subtracted from the image. Also, there is a pixel to pixel variation across the device. It's not only because of the chip, but because of the lenser, the mirrors, the dust particles in the light path. So to remove the artifact because of this pixel to pixel variation, flat field image is taken where the chip is illuminated using a uniform light source. It's illuminated using uniform light source to generate a flat field, and a normalization is done to get the pixel to pixel variation, and the raw image is scaled using this flat field. So the reduced frame which is used by the astronomer is actually the raw image, and which is subtracted the bias, which is bias subtracted, and it is scaled by the flat to remove the pixel to pixel variation. So this is from here the astronomers can use the image for their data reduction and inference. So this is the basic history and introduction of CCD, how it got into the field of astronomy and how it became the favorite detector of the astronomers rapidly, the basic functioning of the CCD and how it is applied for the field of astronomy. So these are the very nice books. Most of the images, the sketches used in this presentation are taken from this book, and this details the various aspects of the technical aspects of the CCDs and how it is used for astronomy. Thank you very much for your patience. We can take some questions if there are any. Okay. Should we wait? For 5 minutes. So we'll wait for a few minutes till there are some questions. And there is a small announcement here. So if any of you have missed the live lecture today, there's a Facebook page of ARIES where you can find a link to the YouTube channel where the lectures are posted. Also, these links are available on the ARIES official website, and you can also submit questions if you have. We'll provide the answers. If there are any feedbacks, we'll be happy to have them. Please use the link available for posting the questions. There is one question here. Yeah, there's a question by Mr. Pradeep. His question is, would you please highlight on the issue of attributing latest technology to enhance the functional quality of existing CCD? Yeah, the CCD has evolved over decades, and the CCD which now is being produced has almost zero defects, and it has very high quantum efficiency. So the latest technology which people are thinking is combining the advantages of CMOS. CMOS has several advantages, although it has not been fully adopted for high quality astronomy or high quality imaging in life science or medical. But people are working on hybrid technology. That's some research articles which can be found out on Google. So they are trying to combine the advantages of CMOS devices and CCD devices to get a hybrid kind of detector. So there's a question by Ritesh Patel. He says, he asks, as you mentioned, silicon-based CCDs can be used for X-ray to visible, to IR, etc. So what changes need to be made in the electronic side to keep the efficiency optimized? So actually it is used from softest X-ray to visible and near IR below 1 micron. So the question is, what changes need to be made in electronics to keep the efficiency optimized? Actually, the electronics which is used to read out the chip, the characteristics of the electronics has to be it should not add any noise or artifact in the pixels which are read. The CCD can provide very low noise output, close to or better than 2 electron RMS per pixel, and the electronic should not add any noise to corrupt this kind of noise figure. But electronics cannot be it cannot add any efficiency to the CCD. CCD design itself has to be, it is designed in a way that it is efficient for different wavelengths. So to make it efficient for particular wavelength, it is coated with special coating. For example, UV enhancement coatings are there, and the CCD is back thinned. It is made very thin so that the shorter wavelength radiations can be easily, it is not absorbed within the skin and it reaches the active region to generate photoelectric effect. For example, for the longer wavelength, the CCD has to be thick so that the wavelengths do not simply pass through. Uh, they can be absorbed and the photoelectric effect can be generated for the longer wavelength. So for longer wavelength, the CCD has to be thick, and for shorter wavelength, it has to be thin. And various enhancements can be done by doing special coating on the CCD. Okay, thank you everyone for your patient hearing. If there are any questions, we can take it offline later.